Alright, so thanks for all the feedback last week. Decided to do another one this week. So it's actually too early in the day, so you may hear some noise. There's Andre in the office. You may hear refer to young Andre. So he's here with us. Apparently he didn't watch last week, so he's very delinquent. But yeah, so long story short though, we would have seen, as I referred to last week, the market sell off to an extent, and the question was asked, well, did these companies lose 50% or 35% of their productive capacity, and to what extent was that reflected in their market price? My view was that that capacity was not lost to that extent, so it was oversold. And we have seen some measure of normalcy return to the markets. Now, we are nowhere near being out of the woods, but the point cannot be ignored that an overselling of the market is usually an opportunity for buying. You know, in the past, we would have also said that infrastructure was an angle that could be pursued for investment growth, particularly in developing countries. So like a Jamaica, like an India, like if you go to New York, and it's driven in that way, because we would have known New York is relatively rundown. But then if you hear China, then you'd have to inquire as far as where in China, because if it's rural, then perhaps, but in the major cities, not so much. If you're familiar with that landscape, it's really developed. So that's one thing. I know we had spoken about that infrastructure being a big part of the way forward even before all this, but I think it's even more pronounced now. And then you've also had logistics, and that is also evidence. If you would have read the article on Mail Practice in the email in terms of their new deal with PriceSmart, and you would have seen their share price gaining some sense of normalcy, what we'll call it. Actually, me and Andre were talking about it not long ago, because we were saying $1.30 just didn't make any sense. We saw 18 million units, trade at 160, and it went really quickly. And I think right now, pull this up, the pricing is, it's on offer 173, closed at 164, and there's a fair amount of demand. So I think, again, that's consistent with assessing the direction things are moving and making decisions based on that. I have to be quick because, as you know, there's a curfew and I have a lot of stuff to do. Granted, it's only 1:10, but it makes sense to do this earlier rather than later. Last point I'd make, I just want to tie up. Next week we'll take some questions, so please submit feedback, is the whole thing of being an investor. We would have seen a popular narrative people have put forward to us, and I'm sure every investment advisor has heard it, is that they invest in IPOs for the pop and for the short-term gain. And we would have seen, now we see Jamaica underwater. Price now, $J share is 137. What's the lowest it traded at this year? $1.10? Dollar, traded as low as $1. Came out at 141. So somebody buying it. What's the highest it's traded? 139 is the highest. It hasn't traded IPO price yet, but yet still people that bought it for a pop. That's not investing, that's speculating. I think this opportunity in the markets though would have given investors good insight, speculators rather, good insight into what the whole investment process is and what it's not. Now, has Jamaica lost value in terms of its utility as a result of the price falling below IPO? I don't believe so, and I don't think any rationally minded investor would believe so. But we strongly discourage people buying shares for a pop. We buy shares based on value, and we buy to hold the period. Will differ according to the investor in question, but we are not buying for a pop. Thanks for watching, and we'll be in touch next week.